From KCBS Radio in San Francisco, I'm Matt Pitman, and this is Bay Current for Friday, December 7th. One of the undisputed greatest Warriors of all time, one of the greatest NBA players to ever suit up, is in position to make his return to the court for the first time in over 2 years.
Klay Thompson in transition takes about a 27-footer and knocks it down. And the Warrior bench explodes. Klay Thompson 5 for 7 in the first quarter, and they're all 3:55 to go. Curry doubled right side. Thompson fakes, dribbles, fakes again, takes a three, hits a three. Thompson on the right side penetrates out to Durant, over to Draymond, throws back to Klay. It's a corner three, and yes, it is a swish. Right side, Klay takes a dribble. Now the three. Got it! An NBA record for Klay Thompson. 14 threes. Chicago calls time. And to a man, every player off the Warriors bench congratulates Klay Thompson, who is breaking Steph Curry's record.
Everybody feel it come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody get down when we give it to you. Everybody feel it come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody get down, give it to you.
5-time All-Star, 3-time NBA champion, 21st all-time in three-pointers made in league history. And all stats aside, he's one of the most beloved fan favorites both here in the Bay and the NBA. And after missing all of the last 2 seasons, after tearing his ACL in Game 6 of the 2019 NBA Finals, then tearing his Achilles right before training camp last year, all signs point to Klay Thompson returning to the Warriors starting lineup Sunday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers at Chase Center. Recently, here on the Bay Current podcast, I've spoken with Warriors head coach Steve Kerr and Warriors owner Joe Lacob about what this moment would be like when Klay returns. Here's Coach Kerr. From the personal standpoint, because I know your connection with Klay is special, what's it going to mean to you?
It'll be emotional. That night, I expect a lot of tears to flow at Chase. I know I will be very emotional. Bob Myers, we've talked about it. It's going to be one of the most special moments that we'll ever witness. Now, once that moment is done, then we've got to give Klay every bit of room that he needs to get his legs back underneath him.
And for Warriors owner Joe Lacob, one of the architectural cornerstones of Chase Center was Klay Thompson. This will be the first time that Joe and Warriors fans will see number 11 at Chase Center. What's it going to be like when 11 takes the floor and is announced for the first time when he returns?
Phenomenal. I mean, honestly, I don't know that you could script a more emotional moment than that is likely to be. Everyone loves Klay Thompson. You know, the ownership group here loves him. The players love him. The coaching staff loves him. Our fans love him. The whole league seems to love him.
For more depth and perspective on just how big this is, the return of Klay Thompson for the Bay Area, for the Warriors, and obviously for one of all of our favorites, Klay Thompson himself, I wanted to bring in Grant Liffmann, who you see on the NBC Sports Bay Area Warriors coverage on your televisions. Grant hosts Dubs Talk postgame as well as the Dubs Talk podcast from NBC Sports Bay Area. We chatted on the Warriors bench before the Warriors game against the Miami Heat this past Monday.
You know something's coming down the pike, and it sounds like we might see Klay in this building on Sunday. Just let that settle for just a second. We might see Klay Thompson in this building on Sunday, and it would be his Chase Center debut. It'd be the first time he played since the 2019 NBA Finals. I mean, it's one of those pinch yourself, for me, it's one of those pinch yourself moments.
Yeah, it's going to be probably one of those moments I remember for the rest of my life. And, you know, we cover sports, and you obviously have a different perspective of things when you cover it. You try to be unbiased, etc. But as a basketball fan, as a person that just admires the sport, it's going to be a truly monumental moment, and it's just a pure jubilation, right? He's one of the most universally loved players across all fan bases. And so the moment he comes back, the way he has battled back from 2.5 years worth of injuries, and just, he is just a person that everyone is rooting for. And I just cannot wait to hear the crowd noise when he steps on the court. I can't even comprehend how long that standing ovation is going to last. And how about when he makes his first three? How about every time he shoots the ball? Ooh, it's just going to be...
Every time he's running up on a fast break, everyone's...
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, I well said. Couldn't agree more. And obviously, the journey for him, I think, on a personal level that you mentioned, people connect with him so deeply upon. The journey is one thing, but oh, by the way, this is the NBA's best team with the best record, getting one of the greatest two-way players to ever play the game coming back. And, how much, he's going to have to give right away, we don't know. But we've seen him in the early shoot-arounds that he does before the buildings open up. Man, he looks good, and he's looked good for a while.
Yeah, no, he looks fantastic. And obviously the question mark will be his conditioning and also defensively, what he can do from lateral movements and all that. But his shooting will be there. The one interesting thing, a lot of times when you have a star come back to a team, right, everyone goes, oh, just wait till they have this guy back. But there's always an adjustment period, right, where you're like, well, this guy has to be integrated again, you have to learn to play with him, etc. I have no concerns of that with Klay, not because he's played with Steph and Draymond before, but the style of game in which he plays. Right. He does not need the ball in his hands. Yeah. And these guys are already accustomed to learning how to play with Steph Curry, running around off ball, off screens. So they already know how that works. So that's the only adjustment sometimes is where you have to be like, oh, where do I have to stand so Klay Thompson can go around me? But the guy doesn't need the ball in his hands, and that is the biggest difference between anything. And so the adjustment should be quick. It should be seamless. I'm just thoroughly excited to see what this team can do with Klay in the fold again. And I can't believe we're here, and it's a
right.
possibility within the week.
Steve said that, look, Klay comes back as a starter. He's going to be in the starting lineup. Again, minutes counts. That I don't even care about having that conversation right now. Like, how many minutes? I don't care. He's going to play. If it's 5 or if it's 20, I don't care. He's going to be playing. He's going to be starting. Timing is so funny in sports and life and everything. I mean, they're just getting Jordan Poole back, and Jordan was integral to what they've done, is integral to everything that they've done. It just shows, I guess, what I'm getting at is the versatility that this team has been able to show that I don't think we expected. It's almost like there's not a ton of pressure on Steve to find the right mix and make it click right away.
Yeah, it's tough because it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
The only catch is, and this is just a realistic part of the job, this is the business side, right? Mm-hmm. Half the players on this team are free agents after this year. And so winning, obviously, these guys are they're great teammates. They care about winning. They will sacrifice. They will. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be happy with the fact that they can't impress. If they're not playing a lot of minutes, they can't do what they need to do when they're becoming a free agent to earn a new contract, right? So that will be probably the most interesting dynamic of it. But in general, these guys want to win, right? And the best way to win is having depth like they do. And all of them will end up playing because we'll see more rest days. Klay's not going to be playing every single game coming out.
Right.
They'll probably try to get Steph some rest days, Draymond some rest days as they try to go towards the playoffs. And COVID is COVID's not going anywhere, so anyone can get sick at any point. So injuries happen, sickness happens, all these things happen. So these guys will play, right?
Sure.
But they've been lucky enough that the next man up mentality, the stay ready so you don't have to get ready, all those things, those are what they'll have to kind of live by for a while. And so far, so good this season, but you never know.
And there's so many interchangeable pieces right now, too. The way that, with Nemanja Bjelica, with Otto, you can sort of, and the way Gary Payton's got, you can just sort of invert your offense a little bit and play Gary down low and spread out your bigs, your guys who are fours on this team, or Nemanja and Otto off the bench. They're so interchangeable. And the other, you mentioned getting a little bit more rest for Steph potentially. What do the non-Steph minutes look like now with Klay back in the mix? Is he a guy who can play off Steph in those non-Steph minutes?
It's going to be very fascinating, and you're already seeing it with Jordan Poole, what they're kind of staggering him to the second unit. But keep in mind, they have the ability once Klay comes back to play Steph and Poole together, and they were experimenting earlier in the season with Steph starting the second quarter. We saw it against Utah again. The one thing I'll say this. There's a chance, in the past, it used to be the same formula, that Steph would play the whole first, the whole third, and they would kind of mirror both sides, the first half and the second half. Mm-hmm. It could be different this year. It could be where Steph starts the second quarter, but doesn't start the fourth quarter and then comes in at a certain minute and comes in and plays the rest.
And then doesn't have to take that little break that we've seen this year. Yeah.
So a lot of us just assume it's always going to mirror the first half and second half. This year, they could play around with it a little bit, and just as long as Steph's comfortable with it, where you just say, hey, the second quarter you're going to start, but you're not starting the fourth, and vice versa. So it's going to be fascinating. We do know Steph loves the third quarter, so maybe they try to play him more in the third so that he doesn't need to start the fourth and then can come in. It's going to be fun to watch, but oh man, the storylines are going to be endless as we watch them try to figure out the strategy of it all and everyone fitting in, and it's going to be wonderful.
And having him come back at a point in the season where they have the top record in the league, knock on wood, they've been healthy, and that I think was the biggest thing. Even before projecting when would Klay be back, when would Wiseman be back. I mean, bill of health has been, you get an A+ on that. So a lot of credit goes to, I think, look, these guys, most of these guys are at the points in their career as veterans. They know how to prepare their bodies to get ready and stay ready. The training, Dr. Celebrini, my God, I mean, the conditioning on this team, I think, is second to none in the NBA. And then you've got, again, to depth. What is this dude? What is Andrew Wiggins is shooting right out, and he's just raining threes from the top of the arc right in front of us here. What does he look like with freaking Klay Thompson on the floor? I can't wrap my head around these things.
So we're recording this before the Heat game, right? And, the way I look at it, Andrew Wiggins, in 15 games before this, is shooting 54% from three. He's turned his game into a catch-and-shoot three-point shooter, which he's always excelled at. His efficiency has skyrocketed. And again, you're talking about the spacing he has right now with Steph Curry out there. You add Klay Thompson, the spacing is going to be out of control. He's shooting over 43% from three on the season. That's 9th best in the NBA. We're talking about Andrew Wiggins, who's been known, his reputation before coming to the Warriors was always the most inefficient player, right? A volume guy, so inefficient. What he has done, changing his game to be more, just to fit better.
The most efficient,
It's just been phenomenal to watch. And, for a while I tried to kind of pump the brakes on everyone, just be like, listen, let him do it for a while before we say this is who he is from now on. Mm-hmm. But I will say this, if he continues to be efficient with his shot selection and have that under control, there's no reason why he can't be above 40% shooter with the way he's shooting the ball right now.
No. Fun conversation. I do appreciate it, and I'm with you. I think it's going to be one of the most exciting moments we've seen in a super long time. It might be the most exciting moment that we've seen I think it will be up to this point. And this is a brand new building, carried over a lot of legacy from Oracle, and I think there's a lot of great years to be had here in this building. But up to now, this will be the ticket stub that you want to keep. I guess they don't have that now. You want to take a screenshot of your ticket, because this is the one you want to hold on to when Klay's back.
Make an NFT out of your
that's it.
Your ticket stub. There you go.
Boom. There it is. Grant, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks again to Grant Liffmann. Again, you can catch Grant on the Dubs Talk podcast from NBC Sports Bay Area. And thank you for listening. If you're enjoying Bay Current, we'd love to have you subscribe and be part of your routine every morning when we have new episodes. Subscribe on the Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, or just about anywhere you listen. And each episode of Bay Current is on the KCBS Radio YouTube page, and we've got a link in the show notes. That's it for today's Bay Current. I'm Matt Pitman. Go Dubs. Welcome back, Klay, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.